So you've created your foundation, you've gotten organized, you've created your design and built your dream team, and you've started working on your logistics. What comes next? In this video, I'll be walking you through step number 6 of 7 steps to planning and creating a wedding you love. And we are almost in the home stretch. Exciting! Hi there, I'm Jamie Chang, your destination wedding planning guru and designer of joy at Mango Me's Events and the creator of Passport to Joy, the step-by-step online wedding planning course for couples. And I share with you real and honest and useful wedding planning tips, tricks, and advice you can use to help make planning your wedding easy and joyful so you can create a wedding you love. Because let's be honest, wedding planning isn't always happy. It can be stressful and overwhelming and sometimes downright painful, and nobody wants that. So we're bringing the joy back to wedding planning. Are you ready? All right, let's do this. So in our last video, in step number 5, we talked about logistics. And we talked through some really important tips to help you as you're trying to make all these moving pieces work. So if you haven't checked that video out, you're going to want to do that first and then come back to this one. Because today we're talking about step number 6 in our series of 7 steps. So you also want to make sure you subscribe so that you get our final video and all our future videos. All right, so step number 6. We've come a long way, but we still have a little bit more to go. And step 6 is all about the details. So you've worked on your logistics and now it's time for those details, because details come at this point because until this point, you just really weren't ready for it yet. You had to work through your vision and your design and getting your team together before you can start thinking about the details, because those things really affect your details. Now, we talk about the word details, and you might be thinking, okay, what does that mean exactly? And the best way I can describe it is it's all the small little pieces that are incorporated to your wedding that are simultaneously not a big deal, and yet what puts the cherry on top. So here's what I mean. When it comes down to it, your favor, for example, doesn't really matter in the way that, say, bathrooms or food or drinks matter. But if it's done right and chosen with care, it can really add that extra special something. You know, your details are what give your wedding that extra oomph or that sparkle or that special something that just wraps it all nicely up in a bow. So what are we talking about here in reality? And we're talking about things like small things, like favors, like guest books, like welcome gifts, like signs and day of stationery, like little decor pieces or candles, those types of things. Now, when it comes to the details, this is also when things can get a little nuts. And when I say nuts, I mean going crazy over, say, finding the right exact ribbon, or figuring out, or obsessing, I guess I should say, over how many different votives you need. Now, this is really, if we're being honest here, this is really when sort of the Bridezilla and the groomzilla come out. So, step 1 in this step is to take a deep breath. In and out. Good? Yes. Okay. You need that because it's also at this point in your wedding planning that things just start to feel like a lot. And when you dive into those details, you're getting really into that nitty-gritty. And we talk a lot about the types of details, and we go into detail on the details in Passport to Joy. But today there are really 2 tips that I want to walk you through because I think you'll really find them super helpful as you're working through your details. So tip number 1 is you don't need everything and the kitchen sink. So here's what I mean by that. You do not need 10 bajillion details. In fact, you shouldn't have it. Details are, like I said, what kind of puts that cherry on top, but it's also totally unnecessary unless it's meaningful, unless it's something that actually means something to you. So you want to incorporate details that matter, that are personal, and that add something to the experience that you're trying to create. Now, what I mean when I say this is literally include the things that have meaning and then everything else throw out the window. And I'm being completely serious here. You don't need everything. It's so much better if you have a few details that are super well thought out and mean something to you than a whole bunch of stuff that may be really pretty but doesn't mean anything. You know, you look at weddings on blogs or magazines and you see all the stuff, you know, the physical stuff involved in that wedding, and you think, oh, I need this and I need this and I need this. And I'm here to tell you that you don't. You really, really don't. Instead, when you're thinking about your details, just focus on what matters. So it's a good opportunity to go back to your vision, to go back to your design and really focus on what you care about, on what matters to you, and then focusing your details in that same way. I promise you it will save you both time and money, which we both want, right? Now, tip number 2, and that is no one will ever know what you could have done. So this is really one of the secrets of wedding planning. And that's no one will ever know what you could have done or could have chosen or could have bought or could have presented or could have given. Honestly, this is something that not only applies to your details, but it applies to your vendors. It applies to your flowers. It applies to your menu. It applies to sort of everything. And what this means is that it's not worth stressing out because no one will know. Okay, and this especially applies to details, but it applies to everything too, but especially to details, because details should be easy and fun and meaningful, not something you stress out over or slave over or, spend your time worrying about. It's just not worth it. So if your budget doesn't allow it, let's say, or you're just maybe not sure you're super into it, just don't do it. No one will ever know. Once again, throw it out the window. They'll just never know that it was even something you considered. Okay? Now, once you've sort of thought through these details, once you've thought through sort of what you want to include, what you don't want to include, what is meaningful and personal to you, then comes step number 7, which is our last step. So make sure you subscribe to get that last video and all of our future videos because they're going to be awesome. Now I want to hear from you. So what's one detail that you are planning on including in your wedding, and what's one that you're throwing out the window? Let me know in a comment below. And if you like today's video, please like it, give us some thumbs up. You can check out our other wedding planning videos for even more tips. And please hit the subscribe button so you can get all of our new ones. And if you want help through all the details and the details of the details and the entire wedding planning process, please check out my online course, Passport to Joy. You can find all the links below because you deserve to enjoy your engagement, no matter what your budget is. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye!